Hi guys, welcome back to Wendy and Mark.
Hi, how you
Hi.
doing?
So today we're going to talk about online dating.
Online dating, yeah.
Yes, we're going to share a little bit on how we met.
I remember what it was like. Okay, so it's 2017.
Yes.
I think I was on there for about a year, give or take. Um, it's different. I mean, you have to take inventory of yourself because you've got to build a decent profile. It's kind of like advertising a business. So you really have to you have to look inward. You have to, no, seriously, I think you have to, you have to take an inventory of who you are and what you want, right?
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
look, I'm going to tell you, when I first started, I was like, all right, let the pictures do the talking. But I quickly realized that, so I like details, but I quickly realized that not everyone had details in their profile. So I think I made a decision probably a month or so in to get kind of serious about it, because it's not as easy just putting up a bunch of pictures and looking at pictures, right? Because you meet the wrong people, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I have a different take than Mark's take because
Yeah, you didn't
I
enjoy it
no,
at all. The
not
process.
I didn't like the process,
Yeah.
but also I'm one of those people who didn't put much at all on my biography. So
No.
if you clicked on my profile, there was nothing there to read except what I was looking for, I guess, in a
pictures.
man, and pictures. And I actually felt like, it should be more like almost like in-person dating. So when you go online, I felt like you are just putting your pictures there so that guys can just see that, okay, she's available, and approach. And then from that, I actually felt like, once somebody likes you, likes the way you look, and then they know like maybe your profession, if you put it up there, what you do in life, and then once they approach you,
Then you get
kind
to
of,
know each
yeah,
other.
you just kind of talk, and it doesn't take that long to realize that that person, it's not gonna work out, you're not gonna click.
But
And
you
then,
were hardcore. You would set coffee dates, and then
Yeah,
you would walk
yeah.
out inside of 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
As a man, I felt like if I made the date, I had to sit through the date,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I never felt like I could just walk away inside of 5 minutes.
No.
Although, trust me, on a few occasions I wanted to.
Yeah, but that's the
yeah.
thing, right? I just feel like I don't think that's being rude to meet someone. Like, for example, you could go and then you find out that the pictures that they put, it's like way back, like 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and now they look completely different.
Yeah.
I don't think that's being childish or being vain to walk away from that.
No, I
If
think you were
anything-
lied to.
Yeah, I
You
think-
recognize the lie and you leave like you should
Yeah.
leave.
And I think it's okay to leave once you realize that, okay, this person was false advertising.
Yeah.
It's okay to walk away than to waste somebody's time. I looked at it as wasting someone's time
Yeah.
to stick around for
I mean-
an hour, with a person that you know for sure that you don't want to go forward with.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
all heard the story about the guy who lies about his height.
Yes.
That's
yes.
one thing.
Yeah.
And I,
yeah.
as a tall man, here comes a chipmunk about to run across our set. As a tall man, I laugh at that. To me, I don't. I guess I don't see it as serious as maybe a short guy might. But there's no way I would post a picture of myself with hair if I didn't have hair, or post a picture of myself, I don't know, buff, if I wasn't in decent shape.
But it's one of those things that people do.
Putting up a photograph of yourself 20 years prior to your,
Yeah, when you're in
then
the
it's-
best shape of your life,
Yeah.
that's what people like to do. And then when you go, you meet them, and then you see that, okay, this is not the person that I was chatting with, and then you try to leave, then they start calling you names. They call you vain. They call you that you're shallow and all that stuff. But I don't think that's being shallow than to just sit there and waste someone's time,
No.
knowing that it's not really gonna go anywhere.
No, if anything, I think it's kind of respectful.
Yeah.
It didn't happen to me. We had an 8-hour date,
Yes.
our first date, but we did chat quite a bit. We
Yeah.
checked each other out verbally
Yes.
for quite a little bit,
Yeah.
which I think is important. And I think we both got comfortable with the process by the time we met one another. We we knew kind of what we wanted in life, and we weren't willing to settle just to be with somebody.
Yes.
We wanted to find the right person, and we got lucky because we found each other.
Yeah.
But we also we put in the time after we met. We dated for a while. I was traveling quite a bit at the time, and you were busy with work. But we spent quite a little bit of our free time with one another. Basically, whenever we had free time, we spent with one another. And we almost immediately did the exclusivity thing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Which I think if you're serious about meeting somebody and you want to find somebody that you stay with, and in the initial process you find that you really are attracted to somebody, or you like them, or you get along, we had chemistry,
Yeah. Yeah.
then I think you better do the exclusivity thing. I mean, look, unless you're on Tinder and you're just looking to hook up with a dozen different people, then it's different. But if you're serious about finding somebody that you can settle down with and have a loving relationship with, then you got to be willing to take the time to explore that. And I think it's disrespectful to the other people that you might be dating, or disrespectful to that person that you're dating, to do anything other than be exclusive. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, ladies? I'm actually talking directly to ladies. Ladies, after you have been dating someone like even for a month, and they're still not willing to be exclusive with you,
they're never gonna
just move on.
Yeah.
Because they're just wasting your time.
Totally.
And I think that's one of the reasons why people really, really hate online dating.
Yeah.
Because you could meet somebody there who's like dating 16 other people at
Yeah.
the same time as
If
you.
he's got a picture of his
And-
car or a boat, he's looking for something other than an exclusive relationship.
Well, I mean, some people might actually
kidding.
be looking for something exclusive.
Yeah.
But I feel like, it doesn't take that long for someone to realize that they like someone and they actually want to see where this could go and become exclusive.
Trust your
Like,
instincts, though,
yeah.
right? Because a player is a player, and if you can sense one in real life, you'll sense one online too, right?
It's the same thing. The only difference now, honestly, is the fact that you are online and you have access to a lot more people probably than you have like in real life. But the rules are still
That's the ticket.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
The rules are still the same. People
Yeah.
are people, because when you finally meet that person in person, it's still the same thing as meeting that person
It brings up a
In
good
real
point,
life.
though. Do you think because there are larger numbers,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe you were willing to not settle because you had more of a belief that you could find the right person? Because I know, like, I felt that way. Like, once I realized, all right, so look, there's like a whole segment of women that I never was going to date. Whether they were attracted to me or not, I was never going to date them for whatever reason. And then there was this whole sort of group in the middle that I felt possible, right? And then, like, I think, it's like, so I also had to be something that was going to be attractive too, right?
Of course.
So I think during the time that I was single, I really focused on myself. We were a bit older, folks. Let's face it. This whole conversation, if you're a 20-year-old, is probably a lot different than us late 30s, early 40s,
Yeah.
because we had both been in serious relationships for long periods of time, and we had both, I think, settled,
Yeah.
and we weren't ourselves what we wanted to be, and we weren't with who we wanted to be.
No.
And I think that when you take it seriously and you've worked on yourself and you're happy with who you are, and then you find somebody that you connect with, somebody that you have some chemistry with,
Yeah.
I think the numbers shrink. So as much as it's a numbers game and there's lots of people to choose from online, it will very quickly shrink.
Yep.
And for me, once we went through that 8-hour date, I logged off.
Yeah.
Canceled my subscription. I think you did too.
Same here. Yeah.
because to be honest with you, as exciting as it was and as neat as it was to have so much, it was annoying as hell.
Yeah.
Every day is kind of like, it was almost like a job. But I mean, honestly, like, if somebody told me back then, or somebody told me now, to have what you have now, you're going to have to work really hard to do it, then I would do that. I would commit to it. It's
Yeah.
worth it. It's worth it. But it wasn't fun, right? Like, jobs pay you a lot of money, but they're not always fun. So from
Yeah,
that perspective,
you know what they say. You sometimes you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you actually meet your Prince Charming, right? It's a
Yeah.
saying that they say,
Yeah.
and you have to go through that process. I
and
get
sometimes
it.
those frogs have private jets. It doesn't matter. They're not always what you're looking for.
Yeah, no, honestly, I feel like, for a lot of women out there, especially women probably in my age group, like I'm in my 40s now, I find that a lot of times they give up hope that, true love does not exist out there, and then they just don't want to date. They want to throw in the towel. And also sometimes, the advice that I can also give is that when you're dating, as a woman, don't get attached to someone too quickly, because a lot of times women get so invested, too emotionally connected very quickly, and a lot of times they end up getting their heart broken. So just take your time, get to know the person first before you actually invest too much into something, because you might be invested into someone and they don't feel the same way about you.
Yeah.
So take your time, get to know the person, and it's not that difficult to realize if you're on the same page or not. So like what Mark just said, our first date lasted 8 hours, and within those eight
And then some.
hours, it was over
It's just
8 hours.
8 hours at the cafe.
Yeah.
Cafe. Like,
Yeah. We
tell
met
me
at the
those
cafe.
staff weren't waiting for us to leave. And I think we closed the place.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, then like we knew that our connection there was like quite special. It was very special, but I didn't know for sure. So I still had to have my guard up a little bit, because I wanted to make sure that he felt the same way. And I don't know if he felt the same way that, I don't know if she feels the same way too about me. And anyway, eventually we ended up talking about this.
I knew she felt the same way. By the end of the night, our heads were together. Like, it was just like nothing I'd ever been through before. And I knew quite a bit about you. I knew about the kids.
Yeah,
I knew about your situation with your ex.
yeah,
I knew what you did for a living and what you had done for a living.
yeah.
And we also knew that we shared in common a certain sense of humor by that point.
Yes.
But you're right. I mean, when you physically meet somebody and you're physically in the same room as them, how is that different? Because I think some of the people that we did go out on dates with turned out to be very different than what they appeared
Oh yeah,
to be
absolutely. That's
online.
the other thing too. Just don't invest too much time, guys,
No.
in getting to know somebody online
Yeah.
before you meet them.
That's right.
Because-
Ask a whole raft of different questions.
Yeah.
Chat openly, but don't count your chickens till they're hatched.
No, meet them
Right.
first. Meet them first. It doesn't matter. A lot of people sound so good on paper.
Yeah.
They could sound great even talking over the phone, or sound great even when you FaceTime. But chemistry is very different in person.
Yeah.
Because you can think that, oh my gosh, this is the person, this is the one. And then by the time you meet in person, you realize that you have absolutely, really nothing in common. There's
Yeah.
no chemistry there. And I don't know, like for some people say that chemistry is something that you can work on, that can develop over time. I don't believe that. It's
No.
either it's there or it's not. So
Yeah, I
if
think that goes with a whole raft of different things that ruins relationships. Is those what did you call it? Uncommunicated expectations.
uncommunicated expectations. That's
Right.
gonna be a topic for another day.
I'm gonna tell you though,
But,
I made my expectations or my desires.
Yeah.
Not really expectations, but my desires.
Desires.
What I wanted.
Yeah.
I made it clear right from the get-go.
Yeah, so did
Um,
I. And I think also there's actually an advantage to dating when you're a little bit older, because you're not trying to be something that you're not.
No,
You
that's
don't.
right.
You're trying not to waste your time, so you're not trying to lie to say like, oh, maybe I have to be this person so that you can find me attractive.
Yeah.
Ladies, on my first date, I I ate pretty much everything. I'm not that type of person that would go and go, I'm
And
just
on the
gonna have a
third date,
salad.
she put her beef Wellington in my back seat and
I
left it
know.
there for 3 days. So,
I eat, and you know what? That's normal. I know that yes, there's a lot of advice out there that says like on your first date, just eat a little bit. It's about the conversation, but it's also
dishonesty though always leads, like any normal guy, honestly, any man that you're gonna want to spend your life with,
yeah.
he's not gonna appreciate that crap.
No,
And this whole like, oh, don't call them for 3 days and all that bullshit. Look, if you're 20 years old, maybe that makes sense. But
you was already on the phone
Like,
texting me, calling me as soon as I got home.
yes.
And we talked even
be
more.
you. Be
right?
you, right? Man or woman, be
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
if you is not good enough or not reciprocated or she's not into you or he's not into, then great, you learned early.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
God forbid you're in a
absolutely true.
relationship for 10 years and then you find out, right?
That
So,
sucks. Because then
yeah.
you've wasted so much time, right?
That's right.
Instead of getting all these things up front, and then you just realize if somebody wants to really be with you or if they're the
Although,
right person for
let's
you.
touch on that because honestly, it takes life's mistakes to make you who you are. And maybe the two of us weren't ready for what we deserved,
Yeah.
which is why we ended up settling for who we did.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there could be some truth to that too.
I mean, it
And
really did make us who we are today. Like you, for whatever reason, had to face a situation where you had to dig in your heels and develop yourself professionally,
Yeah.
which made you the go-getter you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, you always had that in you, but this was a way of exercising that, you know? Maybe for me, in a lot of ways, I had to face what I faced to get me where I needed to be so that I would demand to have what it is I want. And now I have not only what I want, but I think what I deserve,
Yeah.
and we give each other in a true way what we want and what we deserve.
Yeah.
But look, honestly, we know we're lucky. We know it.
Yes, yeah.
We met the right person at the right time in our lives, and everything after has just been easy. And,
Yeah.
and we've had arguments, we've had some
Disagreements.
disagreements, and we don't dwell on those things.
No.
And we're strong in our love for one another, and we feel that every day,
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
And that I think those things are not unique to two lucky people.
No.
They're part of working on a strong relationship and working at it. And it's not hard. It doesn't have to be hard work. It's not something I would describe
No.
as hard work. But it's something you have to be willing to do. What I don't know. Maybe we're lucky there too because being who we really are kind of lends itself to what we both want.
Yeah, I mean that is true, and finding someone that you can be completely who you are without fear of being judged. I think for me it's like one of the greatest things in my lifetime that I've had so far,
Yeah.
and I can just be myself, knowing that he loves me, and I don't have to pretend to be something that I'm not to please him. And also, on the other hand, even when we talk about having arguments, or disagreements, we work them out like pretty fast, and we go from having a disagreement, and our kids have commented on this, going like, oh, I thought you guys were upset with each other, and then 20 minutes later we're already laughing and giggling with each other.
Yep.
And that's how we solve our problems. Like every single couple out there is going to have some issues. I think it comes down to how you decide to actually deal with them. Like it comes down to how you want to deal with those.
So when you're dating
those problems.
and you've just met that person off of Match, have a few arguments and see
Yeah.
how they deal with it.
Yeah.
Kind of seriously though, really. Like, the dating phase is like, oh, and you just spend all this time in love.
Yeah,
But the
because
truth
everyone is
is,
still
though,
pretending,
stand up for those moments that you think, oh, we're just dating, I should keep my mouth shut.
right? Yeah.
Stand up and check the situation.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, we had that one little sort of argument,
Yeah.
and within about 2.5 hours we were,
When we
and that was
we're
early
just
on,
dating,
right?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even remember what it was about, but
Yeah.
sort of a light argument that kind of
Yeah.
ended with maybe we should just part ways.
Yeah.
And 2 hours later, we were, kind of coming back together, saying, "Look, I don't really mean that,"
Yeah.
and it's kind of that. I didn't know it at the time, but that's kind of how we handle it today.
Yeah, like ever since. I mean, it's been more than 6 years now since we got together, and honestly, marriage can be pretty amazing. I know that there's so many negative things out there about marriage, so much that there's a lot of people who are thinking about getting married, and think that, oh my gosh, like it's such a
Been there
horrible
before,
thing,
don't want
right?
to do it again. Yeah.
You know what? It can be
Like those
quite
two guys at that
incredible.
family get together that both said to me, "You're getting
Oh.
married?" I wouldn't do that if I was you. And I'm sort of standing there excited to tell people that I'm getting married, and the two
Yeah,
guys in
can
the
you
room are
imagine
both looking at me
this?
going, "Are you nuts?"
Yeah,
Right?
this was
About
soon
the same
after our
age as me.
engagement.
Yeah.
And then he's so excited to tell, other family members that, oh, I'm getting married.
Yeah.
But you know what? In their defense, one of them had just, like, his wife had just left him with 2 little children, and then the other one, he had been divorced for quite some time. He's just as a girlfriend.
Poor bastards, but at the
So-
same time, they probably did it. They were partly to blame too.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
we're gonna wrap things up, but I think I just want to kind of bring this back to what it started out as. So,
Yeah.
online dating, 10 times better than meeting people in bars. Because
Oh, in person.
this is the
Yeah.
world we came from, right?
Yeah,
And
a lot
then-
of people actually met in person. Like,
Yeah.
it could be on the road, like somebody's
right.
walking, and then you
Yeah.
run and then go like, hey,
Yeah, no.
what's your
10
name?
times better than
Yeah.
meeting in person.
It removes the awkwardness.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the numbers,
pressure.
the numbers.
Yeah.
You can sort of work out who you are,
Yeah.
and make mistakes with that, and then
Yeah.
change how you describe yourself,
Yeah.
and then find people who are who meet certain criteria, and then whittle them down,
Mm-hmm.
and then meet the ones you want to meet, but the whole time, kind of figuring out what it is that you're
Yeah.
finding.
And honestly speaking, I feel like without the online dating, I probably would have never met you, because our worlds were not really
Yeah,
run.
so chances of us running into each other at the mall
They
were
were
slim to
very
none.
slim to none.
Yeah.
So because of that,
The only
I'm
angle we had
thankful.
was
Yeah.
you were in industrial sales and I was servicing industrial clients. It's possible that
Yeah,
we could
so
have ran
maybe
into each other
eventually,
there.
yes, it could have run.
In the 2
yeah.
seconds that both of us were in the building.
Yeah.
But online dating, not horrible, and look what it leads you to.
Yeah. I mean,
Most
it
wonderful
can be,
thing
like,
we've ever had.
quite amazing.
So-
And you know what? Like, if you're hesitant, just give it a try.
Yeah,
but,
don't be.
Yeah, but just try to weed out the bad people
And if
before you
people in
even
your
meet them.
life are like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that, it's weird," or whatever, which they probably aren't doing anymore, right? But for some of us older people, that,
Oh,
that
and
does
I
get
gotta
said.
tell you something. So most of my friends out there, they actually think that we met at a shop called
Walmart.
Winners.
Winners, right? Winners, yeah.
We had to make up the story about meeting at Winners because a lot of my friends, they didn't think that online dating is such a cool thing to do. So we
I
ended
told
up having
everybody,
to-
including my mom.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't care.
His side, everyone knew, but for my friends,
Yeah.
I had to make up a story. So, sorry guys, if you're watching, now you know we met online. We didn't actually meet at Winners.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't the truth. And you know what happens a lot of times? Once you start with a lie, you almost like you have to carry that lie, like covering it up with another lie and another lie and another lie. Then it gets tiring.
We had our
So,
story down too.
Yeah.
Though
yeah.
we weren't serial daters. We weren't on there just to use Match to go out with different people every night of the week for the rest of our lives either. So, I think that's a lot of people have like that kind of attitude about online dating, which we just never had because we weren't using it that way.
Yeah.
We met some people
Yeah.
like that, but we weren't using it that way.
Yeah,
so,
no.
So
I mean, once we met each other, it was like it was a done deal. Like it was over.
and we know lots of people that have used online dating and are in long-term relationships and happy right now. So it's not just
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And we also know people who didn't do so well. They went online dating, and I think sometimes it's how they used it. And if you're just using it, like every person that asks you out, you just go on dates, you're gonna go on endless dates. So, like, write a few questions that you need to ask before you even move further so that you can actually weed out all those bad ones that you don't want to have to meet.
and be reasonable too.
Yeah.
Look for someone. I know this how this sounds, but look for someone that's in your league as well. Like, you have to be able to give what it is you're looking to receive,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
something equal in return, right?
Yeah.
Because relationships really are a give and take.
Yeah.
One-sided relationships don't last very long.
No. No.
So, I mean, thinking that you're going to use online dating to land yourself somebody you wouldn't normally
You
have a
normally
relationship
have
with,
in person.
it's not going to last.
No.
So that's
No.
just
No. And
Anyway.
that's what they say. Like, research actually shows that a lot of, I guess, a lot of women, they're only attracted to 10% of men. So 10% of men online, they are the ones who get all the dates from women.
Yeah, I don't know.
And-
I guess I was part of that 10% because
Yes,
I didn't
yes,
seem
you
to have,
are.
which is hilarious looking at me now. But anyway, look,
Yeah,
at the end of the
but-
day, I think we want to point out that the stigma around the whole concept of online dating is ridiculous.
It is.
And online dating can lead you to a wonderful relationship.
Yes.
And that's our take on it, our
It is.
experience. We're not experts,
No.
but that's our take. No, you're not alone. Lots of people have gone through it. We dated a couple of losers before we found one another.
Yep.
Yeah, you know who you are. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's sort of our take on it, and that's really what we wanted to share with you today.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's incredible. So go for it. And, in our next video, we're going to talk about why someone didn't want to get married when we first met.
Only to say,
So-
hey, you want to get married?
Stay tuned.
Let's do this.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
Because you are so adamant that I'm not a marrying type. I'm never gonna get married. So just stay tuned for more.
Hey.
All right.
All right.
So
bye
if
for
you
now.
like this video,
Yeah.
please like, share, subscribe,
Yeah.
and
Comment.
And comment,
Tell us what your
exactly.
thoughts are, what your experiences are with online dating.
Yeah.
And, how bad they. Tell us your horror stories. We want to hear some of them.
yes, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys
And your
have
glory
horror
stories too.
out there.
Yeah. And if things worked out well and you're doing wonderful, share that, because
Yeah.
there are folks out there that today are willing to throw in the towel.
Yes.
We've talked to some people recently who have gone through that. So
yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
bye for now.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in. Take care, and bye.